2 weeks into the 2025-26 campaign, the Pittsburgh Steelers sit at .500. Their 1-1 record highlights some positive moments, but also plenty of things to work on as the year continues. One of the latter elements is special teams. Sunday's loss to the Seattle Seahawks saw rookie running back Caleb Johnson make a crushing mistake on kickoff duty. That helped swing the outcome in the road team's favor, handing Pittsburgh its first defeat of the season. Head coach Mike Tomlin wasn't pleased following the game. That's bled into the week, as he shared that he's removing Johnson from returns for the time being. Mike Tomlin announces and explains decision to bench rookie RB Caleb Johnson. Like he did on Sunday, Tomlin described Johnson's gaffe as poor judgment. On special teams, certainly the lack of judgment by a young return man was a significant play in the game, Tomlin said. As I mentioned after the game, a lot of times when you're in close ball games, particularly early in the year, there's a play in that space, in that special team space, that often shakes or turns a game. It helped us in a positive way with a play by Kenny Gainwell with the Jets, and certainly the game the other day was a negative outcome. Despite the Steelers' depth chart listing Johnson as the second kickoff returner, Tomlin explains that it won't be the reality this weekend. He hasn't decided on a replacement for Week 3's game against the New England Patriots, but change is coming. I'm certainly going to give him an opportunity to work his way back from that error, Tomlin said. I believe in his talent. He's a sharp young man, he's a hard worker. You leave the light on for him, you give him an opportunity to move on from it, but he has to do that. He has to display that with his daily work, and he's got to earn himself back into the position to be participant. We'll see where the roads lead us. I'm open to it, certainly. Tomlin reveals how Johnson can earn returner's spot back. This is undoubtedly an instance of tough love from Tomlin. He's been around the league long enough to embrace a no-nonsense approach, while also nurturing his young players in appropriate ways. Johnson, a third-round pick, has a lot of growing up to do. One mistake doesn't have to define his season, though, as it can instead be a turning point. Tomlin dove into how Johnson can bounce back. Just as I described, Tomlin said, you've got to man up. You've got to acknowledge your shortcomings, and then you've got to work to move beyond it. It's my job as a leader to provide that opportunity. The intent is there. Now, it must translate to real-time development in practice before getting into a game environment again. He hasn't had an opportunity to physically respond, Tomlin said. Forget what you say. It's about how you move forward in terms of your work, your level of detail, and the consistency of it. We certainly will be watching that closely as we push into this week. In the Steelers' 2 games thus far, Johnson's logged 4 offensive snaps and another 11 on special teams. The former Iowa standout has 2 rushes for -1 yard and no touchdowns. He also has 8 kickoff returns for 190 yards, good for an average of 23.8 per bringback. In Week 2's loss, veteran Jaylen Warren delivered a nice dual-threat performance that caught the attention of Tomlin and quarterback Aaron Rodgers. That, as well as the organization's trust in Gainwell, creates an uphill battle for Johnson. The rookie has the belief of his head coach that he'll overcome this adversity in due time. The Pittsburgh Steelers coaching staff has come into question entering Week 3, and for good reason. Despite a strong roster on paper and high-profile trade acquisitions, this team is falling flat. Meanwhile, Pittsburgh's draft picks over recent years have shown few signs of improvement. Now they might already be wishing they had one busted pick back. Devin Bush saw a resurgence with the Cleveland Browns last year after signing a 1-year contract in 2024. When his deal expired during the 2025 offseason, Bush elected to rejoin the Browns. All of a sudden, he's looking like the player the Steelers hoped they would get when they drafted him with the 10th overall pick in the 2019 NFL Draft. Though the first 2 games of a season, Bush has put his sideline ability and coverage chops on full display. This has led the athletic linebacker to record 15 tackles, 2 tackles for a loss, 1 sack, and 3 passes defended in just his first 2 games. Bush's strong early season performance is backed by a remarkable 91.3 overall PFF grade, good for second in the NFL among 73 qualifying linebackers entering Week 3. In comparison, Bush earned a 34.4 grade from Pro Football Focus in 2021 before an adequate 58.0 4.9 PFF grade in his final season in Pittsburgh in 2022. Unfortunately, not only do the Steelers not get to reap the rewards of taking Bush in the first round, but they have to watch him play the best football of his career on an AFC North rival, and Mike Tomlin has nobody to blame but himself. The Pittsburgh Steelers can point the finger at coaching for botching Devin Bush's development. We can argue until we're blue in the face that trading up for an off-ball linebacker in the 2019 NFL Draft was a bad decision. It cost the Steelers a first, second, and future third-round pick to move from pick number 20 to pick number 10 to take Devin Bush. This proved to be one of the worst draft mistakes of the Kevin Colbert era. But just as egregious as the draft day decision itself is the lack of coaching and development to help Bush reach his potential. When you put on tape from Bush during his days at Michigan, you see an explosive, ferocious linebacker who can move sideline to sideline with ease while setting the tone for the defense. Where was that in Pittsburgh? During his time with the Steelers, Bush didn't play like a guy who ran a 4.43 at the NFL Combine or recorded a 40.5-inch vertical jump. He lacked aggression and looked clueless in his assignment at times. This immediately turned around when he joined the Cleveland Browns. The worst part is that Bush turned just 27 years old this summer, and he's making it crystal clear that he still has his best football ahead of him. While it's possible Bush comes back down to earth and reverts to his old ways, the talented linebacker earned a top 10 PFF grade in 2024 and is already on track to do the same in 2025. Devin Bush was already a draft bust nightmare the Pittsburgh Steelers didn't want to be reminded of. Now they get to play against him twice this year, and it's not hard to find blame in Mike Tomlin and the coaching staff. Seeing the ESPN headline of Teryl Austin fired might feel good to a growing section of Pittsburgh Steelers fans. One beat writer says it won't change a thing. Asked if Austin could go way of former offensive coordinator Matt Canada for a mid-season firing, 93.7% the fans' Jeff Hathhorn says it's possible, but ultimately inconsequential. It's not like Mike has absolved himself from the defense, right? Hathhorn said the Fan Tuesday morning. So what you're seeing is a lot of what Mike wants to see. Mike's active in the defense, and if he wants to make changes, he can make changes. So you can make a cosmetic move almost in getting rid of the defensive coordinator, but you're not going to bring somebody else in. You're just going to bring somebody who's already there. You'll elevate them into a spot, and Mike will continue to have control of the defense. It's no secret the influence Mike Tomlin has on the Steelers' defense. With a deep defensive background and being a former defensive coordinator himself, it's widely understood Tomlin sets the tone for the defense. Others like Austin are involved and help game plan, but the defense won't look dramatically different no matter who carries Austin's title of defensive coordinator. As Hathhorn notes, firing Austin will only lead to an internal replacement. It's unclear who would assume that role. Defensive line coach Carl Dunbar once spoke of aspirations to become a coordinator, but it's yet to happen in his long coaching career. Perhaps defensive backs coach Gerald Alexander, returning to Pittsburgh after a year in Las Vegas, would take over. But it would hardly bring sweeping changes to Pittsburgh's unit. Through 2 games, the Steelers' defense looks anything but stout. The team ranks 29th in scoring and bottom 10 in virtually every run defense category. It's a front reminiscent of 2021, a year when at least a laundry list of injuries can be cited as a reason for their struggles. Pittsburgh is dealing with injuries now, but not as many and not as long-term. Overall, the Steelers aren't adjusting well schematically and aren't playing up to snuff individually, a concern of a new-look defense with so many moving pieces. Pittsburgh has hardly faced the NFL's top offenses on its schedule, either. It's doubtful Austin gets canned midseason. Canada was an exception made at the extreme. The calls for his firing were as loud as any coordinator has ever experienced, and the locker room might have mutinied had he stayed. Austin's not at that point, not yet anyway. But if the Steelers' defense doesn't shape up, Austin may not return in 2026. So long as Tomlin does, the new hire won't be as meaningful.